everybody to learn more and to gain knowledge, to be able to contribute to truth and reconciliation in their own ways, to support First Nations people. Others need to know the real truth of what happened in Canada, and it's in a setting where we're learning together. So it's really bringing us together and making bonds stronger.
As a social service worker, at least in training, we're going to be encountering a lot of First Nations people in our practices. So this was a really good opportunity for me to tie both the things that I'd learned about truth and reconciliation in residential schools to the people, and to learn more about the culture, and not from a textbook, because a textbook isn't as rich.
Just more of an understanding of our people and what they've been through, and not just to judge them or to assume that, you know, they're just a drunk or an addict or a homeless person on the street, that they have a history and they have a reason for why they're like that, why we're like that, and why we're struggling. And I just want to bring that to my work, and I'll be working with the Aboriginal community. As a community worker, that's what my plans are.
The Indigenous peoples, it kind of teaches us, especially if we don't know our history, we can learn how our people lived before we became so modern. So like literally living off the land, being thankful for everything, and then this general idea of just everything is peaceful, going in peace, leaving in peace, so just things like that.
I really feel a connection with First Nations people, because my background as a Jewish person, and a lot of the trials and tribulations that we went through at all times in history, First Nations people, Jewish people have been either subjugated or discriminated against, or had to experience genocide in one form or another.
Tea with Grandma with Elizabeth Dockstader was great. A lot of students felt like that was one of the highlights of the trip. I think because she was so real. She didn't sugarcoat it, and even when she was referring to residential school, she didn't want to say residential school because it's a name that doesn't really explain what it was. It's really a nice way of saying what it was. The canoe trip, it was a really fun activity, and water is so important to First Nations communities. It has a big meaning to us, and just to be connected with the water that way, canoeing in it, and the Grand River specifically is really important to the Six Nations.
Always sticks in my head is the canoes, definitely. Because first of all, it was cold, and it was early, and I was prepared to go in, and then I got a little nervous because somebody else got nervous on the trip to go in, and I just picked somebody who knew what they were doing, a student association member, I think it was Caroline, and she was very calming, so she helped me on the boat, and then I loosened up and was able to paddle, so I was very excited.
Even when we're sitting in the chapel and we're being told the history behind these 8 beautiful, beautiful windows, stained glass windows, and the stories about the stained glass windows were less compelling than the way the guide was telling it, throwing in their own experiences, their own stories. It really enriched it. It wouldn't have meant the same if it had just been someone reading at a textbook, of listening to people tell their own stories and their own history, and the power of people representing themselves. You know, whether it's through the museum that we went to, where we could see beautiful, beautiful pieces of art, pieces of beading, is mixed in with artifacts that told their history, but it was set up by these people. It was the story they wanted to tell.
what I wanted people to take away from the trip is the truth about what happened, because we hear a lot about what happened in residential schools and all the tragedies that happened. But when you're actually inside the residential school, it becomes so much more real. You can just feel the children and just picture them there in that building and what they went through.